Alright guys, how's it going? Got the new camera so you can see better what I'm doing. A new setup. Let me know how it's working out for you. Maybe the old GoPro kind of fisheye lens, it's a better setup, but I figure out that's going to give you more detail, especially when I'm doing some airbrushing work. When I was doing those skulls a few weeks ago, I noticed that the GoPro couldn't really focus closely on the details on the skulls, so I started looking for a new camera, and this is what I came up with. So hopefully you can see better detail now what's going on. But anyway, let's crack on with the seat on the XZ500. See what happens. So as promised last time, we're gonna revisit the seat cover, seat kind of unit. We're gonna come back to it today. The reason for that is I popped a question a few weeks ago to all of you, to you lot. What should I do with it? Whether I should cover the whole thing in leather when it's seat base done, or whether to create a new seat base and paint the existing seat cowl kind of thing. And nearly all of you, like 99% of you, said create a new seat base and paint what it is. The reason I was thinking about covering the whole thing in leather, because I wasn't sure how well I'm gonna execute that. That's the first time I'm doing something like this from steel, so I wasn't sure how well it's gonna look. So if I mess up, I could cover the whole thing in leather and that would be no problem. But luckily, I'm quite surprised myself actually. I did a decent job on that, I think. Quite happy with it. So yeah, I agree, it would be a shame to cover that. I'm gonna paint it nicely to match the rest of the bike. And today's plan is to create quite simple, well, nothing's ever simple, simple seat base over here. So this can be covered in leather. There's going to be 4 bolts bolting from underneath, coming on top of that. But that means this part needs to go. This part, as you know, it sits on top of the petrol tank when the petrol tank mounts are over here, so that kind of covers it. Well, in this instance, that has no right position on this piece. That needs to be relocated to the actual seat punch, so the whole piece lifts off. So I need to go back on this, cut it off as cleanly as I can and grind it flush, and from that point I can start making a simple seat base over here and weld this part to that seat base. Unfortunately, sometimes it is like this in projects. You need to go back on itself and revisit what you've done already. Luckily it's not a major problem. I can hopefully can cut it off quite cleanly and then produce another quality work, hopefully. See what happens, guys. I'm not gonna bore you with cutting this off and grinding that off because it's not interesting. Catch me back in a minute when I'm ready to cut out the template for the seat section. Cheers. Right, so this is where we are at the moment. As you can see, I cut this piece off that was covering the screw holes. The reason for it, as I explained before, I've got the another section which is going to be the main seating area. That's going to be covered in foam and then leather. It's going to be bolted on, and that's going to be one piece with that. So I made it a little bit narrower than the actual unit, just because you got leather coming from each side, you know. So it's going to be like a mil, maybe mil and a half on each end, you know. So I don't want to stick out too much outside the frame. So I made it a little bit narrower on each end, basically. So now the next thing I need to do is get rid of that. I need to basically drill holes. I like 4 holes, probably 2 over here, 2 over here. Weld some bolts for this bad boy. Very important. And same hole is gonna come over here, so I can bolt it from underneath, and that's gonna be one permanent piece. This and this. Just need to figure out where the bolt's gonna go, because obviously having all the electrics here, having a CDI unit over here, the bolts won't be able to come here because it is very, very close. So I need to probably get them somewhere over here, so I miss the cables, and then doesn't matter where over here because I can move the shit around. But these probably over here, 2 over here, maybe even 1 over here, I don't know, or the other way around, 1 here, 2 there. It doesn't need to hold much weight, just basically to secure it on top. That's gonna be my sitting unit. And as you like it, that's gonna be all painted. That's you voted for that, so you got yourself to blame for it now. Giving me more work, you lot. Alrighty, let's crack on with that. Yeah, so there we go. Seat pan ready. Wasn't that hard, was it? After all, it took me just a few minutes. Well, half an hour, 40 minutes or so. I grinded the bolts on top over here, so they, I mean, it doesn't really matter because the foam is going to be about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. Just kind of nicely chamfered over here. But the foam, it's a completely different video, and I'm going to mount it on the tail section as well, using this piece. But that's also a completely different video. This is finished now, so as you wanted, that piece is going to be covered in leather. This piece is going to be all painted. I'm going to work it nicely and paint. The thing just slots in here nicely like that. I got some washers to go on it and 4 bolts. I reckon that's going to be more than strong enough to support me. So when the seat comes back from the upholstery, I don't know who's going to do it yet, but I think I know a guy. I think I'm going to cut my own foam on it. We got some foam and I've just shape it with a knife and some, maybe I'm going to grind it a little bit. Because I want, when I see the bike, I know what kind of level the foam, how I want it to go with it. I don't want it too bulky and I don't want it too, you know, narrow. I just know exactly how it needs to be done. I can see the foam going slightly down here and slightly up there, and I can't explain that really to the guy, you know, so I'm gonna just do it here, put it on the bike, have a look from a distance, how it looks, how it sits, shape it a bit more, you know, and then remove that piece and deliver it to my guy who's gonna upholster that with leather, because I cannot do that. Well, I can, but it's not gonna be any good anyway, so I'll give it to a professional, and that's it. So as you want it, paint and leather on here, 2 separate sections, rectified, rock and roll. Show you how it looks on the bike once again, and then we're going to wrap it up. Yeah, so here we go. The whole thing fits nicely in the bike, the bolts are in the right places, it's got a nice lines to it as I want it to. You need to look at it and imagine like a 1 inch, maybe an inch and a half all the way through, and then chamfer edge towards there, because that's how this foam's going to be. But this is, once it's bolted on, it sits nicely here. Cover these horrible bolts. I'm going to put like a button caps nuts on it, so it looks a bit more low profile. But other than that, it will be pretty good, I reckon. Quite happy with that section. It looks, it still looks sexy. So yeah, foam later on and 4 mounting points, one over here, one over here. Same on the other side, but that's a different story. All done for today. Quick episode of redoing that, revisiting that section. All done, all sorted. Tick, moving on. I don't know what we're gonna do next, but I've got still plenty to do, so I'm gonna take you on the journey next time. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Have a beer and rock hard, and I'll catch you next time.